All right, thank you guys for coming back to my YouTube channel once again. Today, I'm going to be talking about some of the fantastic topic around the language learning or language acquisition. As you can tell, it's very important to build a language environment so that you can smoothly be exposed to certain languages. And for example, if you really like to learn the language like English, French, Spanish, or whatever languages that you're interested in, it's very natural and for you to try to pick it up in the speaking environment. For example, you can go to the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, or Canada, or New Zealand, or whatever in order to learn English. It's very important and it's very, fascinating because that's the quickest way that you can think of. However, but at the same time, one thing I can tell is that actually you can also build such a wonderful environment by yourself as long as you make efforts. For example, you can try to find a language partner who is willing to help you out in terms of learning languages. For example, you can send your like passage or sentence or even a journal onto the partner, and he or she can help you refine the sentences, or they can also check and correct sentences so that you can make certain progress in your language acquisition. This is wonderful, isn't it? Because without going abroad or without and going to the like environment where your target language is spoken, you can still get certain exposure to it. And actually, this magic happened to me as well. For example, when I was using an online platform where I can learn the Chinese language, and I can easily and get the very nice access into native speakers of the Chinese language, Mandarin, and then I can have some sessions so that I can talk to them, and they can also talk back to them, to talk back to me as well. So this was literally a very pleasant moment because in order to achieve or pursue this sort of environment, and I was in the process of learning language. And in the end, I finally did it. I found this platform. And also, I found some like posts and from, let's say, and Chinese and learners. Chinese and Japanese learners. And let me clarify on that. and a guy who is learning Japanese, but his nationality is Chinese, that he is living in China, right? That's what I wanted to say. And and he actually posted some messages on which he said, okay, I am actually looking for a language partner and who is and happy to and check and correct my sentences. And always I come across and some very similar expressions and phrases, and I'm very confused about such like slight difference in nuance or connotation or whatever. So it'd be nice if somebody can help me out, he said. And then, okay, sure, I just raised my hand and said, okay, I think I am the perfect fit for that because I am the like native speaker of Japanese. The first language and is obviously Japanese, and also I am very interested in the Chinese language as well. And then we kind of started to contact each other by WeChat, and then this was very a nice encounter because he said actually he is living in Beijing, and I am also living in Beijing too. That is right. Okay, if that's the case, we can actually casually like meet up with each other in person someday in Beijing. I mean, honestly speaking, he and didn't expect me to be living in Beijing because I am Japanese, and I just didn't mention and that I am living in China, and that is why he was taken aback literally. And then he said, "Okay," and that was totally unexpected to me. And I didn't like dream that you are actually living in Beijing. So this was the nicest moment that I have ever had in this year. And then I said, yeah, likewise, I am feeling the same way. I am very happy to meet such a nice language partner who is very delighted to check my Chinese. And although my Chinese is not perfect, but still, I think this sort of like chances where I can like have a certain guidance or feedback from the native speakers of Chinese is very useful because even at the like beginning of language acquisition, it's very important to like identify certain patterns of mistakes or errors, and even about pronunciations or tones in Chinese or some expressions, phrases, whatever. So it's very important. And then we also set a rule so that we can make more like efficient progress. And for example, whenever we make mistakes, we need to point it out because otherwise there's no meaning of having a conversation. If you just like to have a conversation, you can talk to AI, or you can simply write it down, jot it down on the paper that it's good enough. But if you really like to get the feedback, then it's very important to encourage the component and of yourself and to have a certain feedback and assent. That is why and we made this sort of like rule or promise with which we need to like point our mistakes out clearly without any hesitation. And also, yeah, we checked on all the history of the chapters role and that we had at this moment so that we can like try to distinguish any errors. And then and at this moment we reached a conclusion that and we didn't have any significant errors at all. At least we can like understand everything. So in this regard, we were able to make ourselves understood with each other. So this was very impressive. But still, I think, I mean, basically his Japanese level is like by far the best, like by far the better one compared to my Chinese level. That is why I still feel that, okay, I need to like fill in this gap at least. And otherwise, I mean, this sort of like indiscernible, like, I mean, actually discernible and gap is actually like being widened. So and otherwise, I don't think and we can like make a very nice rapport. I mean, basically he is more advanced, and then and he might want to have more exposure to Japanese. Meanwhile, for me, I'm not sure if I can keep up and with that sort of pace. That is why I feel that I also need to make more efforts so that I can like improve my Chinese even more. But still, I think this sort of like I mean, this is just an example, right? I just wanted to give you an example where we can actually create a language environment even without going abroad. I mean, technically speaking, I am in abroad. I am in a foreign country, but I mean, by doing so, you can and actually have a very nice contact or a very nice interaction with those and who can speak your target language. Of course, I am very happy to help somebody and who wants to learn about Japanese, and but at the same time, I feel that it would be nice and if I can have somebody who can check my language as well. So, I mean, nowadays we have so many tools, apps, or platforms where we can find that the sort of like people who are interested in language exchange, or if you're okay to pay certain amount of money, you can go to some like online conversation platform, for example. I am also an English tutor on one of the platforms in Japan, and then I sometimes teach English as well. That is what I can tell. Actually, there's like very growing demand and if and people who really like to learn a language and with a tutor with a tutor or a teacher. So I think yeah, in this sense, actually, it's very interesting to learn the language and with other people. So one thing I want to tell on this video basically is that simply put, in a word, never give up. You can just yeah you shouldn't give up on your dream due to the fact that you are living in a domestic country and domestic environment where almost nobody is speaking your target language because as long as you make efforts and as long as you keep up with your good work every day, you can find a window of opportunity where you can actually find somebody who is very happy to help you or who can actually assist you in the best way, which literally accelerates your language learning journey. So and until you grasp the sort of an opportunity, you actually need to be a bit patient. But at the same time, especially at the like beginner level, you still have to cram everything so that you can start to like make good use of that like elementary skills or elementary knowledge to construct a sentence. So in this sense, actually, and you can spend a certain amount of time, or let's say a few months, like learning that sort of very like elementary stuff. And then after that, you can try to find a certain people who are very willing to help you out. So that's the strategy, and that's the thing you can do, and that's exactly the same thing as I did. So in this regard, I can proudly say that this is actually the very nice way, and also you don't necessarily have to pay a lot of money as well. This is also one of the benefits you can enjoy out of it. That is why I'm saying this. Yeah. So anyway, I mean, learning language takes a lot of time. It requires your patience, energy, and also you need to strategize your learning and plan as well. And otherwise, you tend to waste some time. And you need to be very clear about like how you can achieve certain goals. So you need to be very goal oriented in this regard. And there's no way you can cut corners because you need to cram everything. You need to memorize everything. At the end of the day, you need to like, for example, be able to speak 400 or 500 sentences by heart, and then you can apply such like sentences into the real setting. This is the way you can be very spontaneous while you are speaking that language. Anyway, I love talking about this sort of stuff, and I'm very intrigued at this sort of stuff as well. So if you are also one of such people, and just let me know, and I am always happy to have certain conversation about it. And also, I'm very happy to help you as well. And if there's any demand, so just let me know. And if you're very interested in learning English or Japanese or Chinese. Anyway, thank you so much, China, for watching this video until the end. And I'm looking forward to meeting you in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye for now, and see you soon.